Psycho as hell, cheating wife destroys husband's car after getting exposed. I'm sitting here in my new apartment in Brooklyn, looking at the police report, and I still can't believe how badly this woman lost her mind. We were married for 11 years in New York City, and I thought I knew her. The first real warning sign came about 3 years into our marriage. We went to this Italian place in downtown Manhattan. Nothing fancy, just a regular spot. The waiter brought her chicken parm instead of the eggplant parm she ordered. Simple mistake, right? Wrong. She stood up and started screaming at this poor kid. I'm talking full meltdown. Threw her napkin at him, knocked over her water glass. The whole restaurant went silent. I had to physically guide her out while apologizing to everyone. The manager comped our meal just to get us out of there. After that night, I stopped taking her to restaurants. When she asked why, I told her straight up. She didn't like hearing it, but I wasn't about to deal with that embarrassment again. She said I was being dramatic, that the waiter deserved it. That should have been my exit right there. But you know how it is. You make excuses. You think it's a one-time thing. Fast forward about 6 years, things were decent. Well, that's the way it seemed. We both worked full-time. I'm a computer programmer. She works as a store manager for a big retail chain. We had our routines, paid our bills, did the whole married couple thing. Nothing exciting, but nothing terrible either. Then about 2 years before everything went to hell, she started acting different. She always had her phone, but suddenly it was like that thing was surgically glued to her, except when I was around. The second I walked into a room, the phone disappeared. If it rang while we were watching TV, she'd let it go to voicemail. Text notifications would pop up, and she'd ignore them completely until I left the room. At first, I thought maybe she was planning a surprise for me or something. Birthday was coming up. Maybe she was coordinating with friends. But my birthday came and went. The behavior continued. I'm not the type to go snooping through someone's phone. Never have been. But I'm also not stupid. So I did the next best thing. I logged into our joint phone account online and pulled up the usage details. The numbers didn't lie. Between 9 p.m. and midnight, when I was usually asleep because I had to be up at 5 a.m. for work, her phone was lighting up. Dozens of texts, all to the same number, a number I didn't recognize. During the day when I was at work, same thing. Constant communication with this mystery number. But when I was home, radio silence. Not a single call or text during those hours. I sat on this information for about 2 weeks. Didn't say anything, just watched her. Watch how she'd excuse herself to the bathroom with her phone, how she suddenly needs to go to mysterious places with her friends, how she started working late more often. The whole time I'm thinking maybe there's an explanation. Maybe it's a work thing. Maybe it's one of her friends going through something. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt because that's what you do when you've been with someone for a little over a decade. Then I got the email. It came from a burner email address with no name attached to it. Just a subject line that said, "You need to check this out," and 4 attachments. I opened it on my lunch break at work, sitting in my car in the parking lot, eating a sandwich. The first attachment was a screenshot of a Tinder profile, her face clear as day. Different photos than the ones we had together. These were recent. The bio said she was 32, which was a lie because she was 35 at the time. Said she was looking for excitement and exploring options. I never took another bite of that sandwich. The second attachment was a Bumble profile. Same deal. Different photos, same lies about her age, similar bio wanting adventure. The third and fourth attachments were photos, not screenshots, actual photos someone had taken. She and some guy outside a bar. They were kissing, full on making out like teenagers. I sat in that car for 45 minutes, didn't move, didn't call her, didn't call anyone. I just stared at those photos until my phone screen went dark. When I finally pulled myself together, I went back to work after lunch. But I left early. I didn't drive home. I started calling attorneys, found one online, called, told them it was urgent. They squeezed me in that afternoon. The attorney's name was Richard. He'd been practicing family law for 20 years. I showed him everything: the phone records, the email, the profiles, the photos. He told me New York is a no-fault state, but we could file on grounds of adultery if I wanted. With the evidence I had, it was a slam dunk. Might affect spousal support depending on our financials. I told him to file on adultery. I wanted it to be on record exactly why this marriage was ending. We spent the next hour going over everything: assets, debts, the apartment lease, all of it. We didn't have kids, which was a huge plus. That would have made this 10 times worse. We had a joint savings account with about $18,000 in it, 2 cars that were paid off, and we were renting an apartment in Queens. Richard told me not to confront her, not to tip her off, just act normal while he prepared the paperwork. He said it would take about a week to get everything filed and ready for service. He also explained that serving her at work was strategic, based on his experience, since she'd be in a public place and less likely to cause an immediate scene. Plus, it would be during business hours when process service are most available. That was the longest week of my life, going home every night, sitting across from her at dinner, listening to her talk about her day at work, knowing what I knew. She had no idea, just kept up the act like everything was fine. One night, she even tried to initiate sex. I couldn't do it. Told her I wasn't feeling well, had a headache. She seemed annoyed, but didn't push it. The phone behavior continued. She'd gotten sloppy about it, actually. Started leaving her phone face down on the counter, but I could hear it buzzing constantly. She'd wait until I was in another room, then grab it and disappear. Richard called me on the 7th day. Papers were ready. Process server was lined up. He asked where she worked and what time she usually took lunch. I told him she was a store manager at this store, usually took lunch around 1 p.m. and often ate at her desk, which is in the back of the store. He said the server would go there the next afternoon. I told him I would make sure I wasn't home when it happened because things might get ugly. I took the next afternoon off work. I told my boss I had a personal emergency. I went to a fast food joint about 3 blocks from our apartment and waited. My phone started ringing at 2:13 p.m. Her name flashed on the screen. I let it ring. It went to voicemail. She called again immediately. Voicemail. Then the text started. What the fuck is this? Call me right now. You're fucking kidding me? Where are you? Answer your goddamn phone. I turned my phone on silent and ordered some food. She called 16 more times over the next couple of hours. But by this time, I am back at work. I didn't need to be nowhere near my apartment. Around 4:30 p.m., I got a call from my receptionist on my desk phone. The receptionist said a woman claiming to be my wife was there demanding to see me. She was causing a scene. Security was involved. I told the receptionist to have security escort her out and that I would explain later. At 5:37 p.m., I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. It was her, calling from someone else's phone. She was furious, calling me a coward for not talking to her first, for serving her papers at work in front of everyone. I kept my voice calm and told her there was nothing to talk about. I knew everything, the profiles, the guy or guys, all of it. Silence on the other end. Then she said she could explain. I told her I didn't want her explanation. The divorce was happening. I told her not to contact me again unless it was through my attorney. I hung up. She tried calling back from that number 4 more times. I blocked it. Richard had advised me to stay somewhere else for a few nights and let things cool down. I've already booked a hotel room near my office, packed a bag that morning before work with enough clothes and toiletries for a week. I figured I'd give her some space, let her process everything, then we would figure out the logistics of who was moving out. I went back to work the next morning, got there around 7 a.m., parked in my usual spot in the company lot. My car is a black 2020 Honda Accord. Nothing fancy, but it was paid off and reliable. I was in back-to-back meetings all morning. Didn't check my phone until around 11:30 a.m. I had 12 missed calls from the front desk and 3 from an unknown number. Before I could call back, the receptionist appeared at my office door. She had this look of shock on her face. She told me I needed to come downstairs now. It was about my car. I thought to myself, why in the hell is she mentioning my car? I followed her down to the lobby. Through the front windows, I could see a crowd gathered in the parking lot. Security guards, employees, everyone just standing there, staring. I pushed through the front doors and saw it. My car looked like it had been through a war zone. Every single window was smashed. Windshield, back window, all 4 side windows, just completely destroyed. Glass everywhere, covering the seats, the dashboard, the ground around the car. But that wasn't even the worst part. The entire driver's side was keyed, deep, gouging scratches from the front bumper to the back. Not random scratches either. Words. Cheater carved into the driver's door. Liar on the back door on the driver's side. Other words I won't repeat scratched into the paint. All 4 tires were slashed, not just flat, slashed so badly the rubber was hanging off the rims. The hood had dents all over it, like someone had taken a bat or a hammer to it repeatedly. I just stood there, couldn't move, couldn't process what I was seeing. One of the security guards walked over. He told me they called the police and that they had got the whole thing on camera. That snapped me back to reality. Happened about an hour ago. A woman pulled up, parked across the lot, walked over and just went to town on my car. It took her maybe 10 minutes. She was wearing a hoodie and sunglasses, but she kept looking up at the cameras and they got perfect shots of her face. Their security office is on the other side of the building, so by the time they saw what was happening on the monitors and got someone out there, she was already driving away. They immediately called the police. The police arrived about 15 minutes later. I gave them my information, explained the situation, told them about the divorce papers being served the day before. They went inside with security to review the footage. I called Richard. I told him what happened. He said to make sure I filed a police report, document everything, take your own photos, get repair estimates. Said this would only help my case. The officers came back out about 30 minutes later. One of them, older guy with gray hair, walked up to me. He said they watched the footage and got a clear view of the suspect. Security was burning them a copy of the video right now, and they were providing me with a copy too for my civil case. But he said she made it really easy for them. I asked what he meant. He explained she didn't wear gloves. They could see her bare hands all over my car in the video. They already called forensics to come dust for prints, and there was blood on the driver's side door handle. I asked about the blood. He said it looked like she cut herself on the broken glass. Not a lot, but enough. They would collect it for DNA evidence. Between the video, the prints, and the DNA, he said it was about as open and shut as it gets. I gave them her information, name, address, phone number, her workplace, told them about the divorce, the adultery, showed them some of the threatening texts she sent. The younger officer asked if she made any threats of violence toward me directly. I scrolled through my phone and found a text from the night before that I missed. I'll make you regret this. You have no idea what I'm capable of. I showed it to them. The officer said they were going to go pick her up. Criminal mischief in the second degree, possibly aggravated harassment. With the evidence they had, the DA would definitely prosecute. They left. I stayed with my car, waiting for the tow truck Richard had called for me. Employees kept walking by, some offering sympathy, others just gawking. My boss came down, told me to take the rest of the week off, and said the company would cooperate fully with the investigation. The tow truck finally arrived around 2 p.m. The driver took one look at my car and whistled. He asked who did this to me. I told him it was my wife. He said, "Wow," shook his head, and said he's seen this before. Divorce cases. He said this was way over the line. Keying a car is one thing, but this was psycho territory. He loaded up what was left of my car. I rode with him to the body shop. The estimate came back at just under $6,000 in damages. Insurance would cover most of it after the deductible, but I'd be without a car for at least a month. Richard called me that evening. Police arrested her at her office, same place she got served. She was being charged with criminal mischief in the second degree, which is a Class D felony in New York because the damage exceeded $1,500. Maximum sentence of up to 7 years in prison. She was also being charged with aggravated harassment in the second degree, a Class A misdemeanor based on the threatening text messages. Richard said she would be arraigned, probably the next day. Might make bail, might not. It depends on the judge and if she had priors. But he said this helped us tremendously in the divorce. She just handed us a gift. Any sympathy she might have gotten from a judge just went out the window. No pun intended. I laughed. Couldn't help it. First time I laughed in 2 days. Richard told me to get some rest. Let the criminal case play out. We would proceed with the divorce. With her behavior, he said we were looking at a very favorable outcome for me. She made bail the next morning, $5,000. I found out later her parents posted it. Her attorney reached out to Richard, trying to negotiate. She wanted to settle the divorce quickly, avoid a trial. Richard told them we'd consider it, but we had terms. I wanted the car damage paid in full, outside of insurance. I wanted her to cover all divorce attorney fees. I wanted the full $18,000 from the savings account, and I wanted her to sign a statement admitting to the affair. Her attorney balked at first, but Richard sent over the police report, the copy of the video footage that security had provided, and photos of my destroyed car. They agreed to everything within 48 hours. The criminal case took longer. She pleaded guilty to criminal mischief in the second degree in exchange for the aggravated harassment charge being dropped. Got sentenced to 3 years probation, 200 hours of community service, and had to pay restitution for the car damage plus court fees. As part of the plea deal, the restitution payment was required up front before sentencing. The divorce was finalized about 7 months after I served her. I got everything I asked for. She moved back in with her parents. I found a new apartment, bought a new car with the insurance payout and the restitution money. I never found out who sent me that anonymous email with the photos. Part of me thinks it was the guy she was cheating with. Maybe he got tired of being the side piece. Part of me thinks it was someone from her work who knew what was going on. It doesn't really matter now. What matters is I got out, and I got out with proof of exactly who she really was. That temper I saw at the restaurant all those years ago, that wasn't a one-time thing. That was who she'd always been. I just didn't want to see it. But destroying my car in broad daylight, in a parking lot full of security cameras, leaving her fingerprints and DNA everywhere, that was the final gift she gave me. Proof that I made the right decision. Some people ask if I ever heard from her again after everything was finalized. Once, about 7 months after the divorce, I got a text from a mysterious number. Just 2 words, I'm sorry. I didn't respond, just blocked the number and moved on. Because some apologies come way too late, and some people don't deserve a response. I'm in a better place now. Got a promotion at work, started dating again, actually enjoying my life for the first time in years. And every time I get in my new car, I am reminded of the danger I didn't see in her and the red flags I missed. But some people are good at hiding red flags so you can't see them. And when that happens, you rely on what your gut tells you. And most of the time, your gut is right on the money.